Hello, my name is Richard Worsham. I'm one of the co-founders at Janus and the lead designer. I'd like to do a brief walk around of all three of our 250 models. The model in front of me is the Halcyon 250. The Halcyon 250 harkens back to the golden age of motoring. It's a classic motorcycle, it's a hardtail, and the Halcyon has wide swept handlebars, a long low fuel tank, leather sprung solo seat, and kind of a more relaxed seating position. The Gryffin 250 is our dual sport scrambler style motorcycle. The Gryffin uses the same engine as the Halcyon, however, it is equipped with knobby tires, a high-mounted front fender, high exhaust pipe, and is available with bash guard, engine bash guard and hand guards for riding on and off-road. Finally, we have the Phoenix 250. The Phoenix also shares the same engine as the Halcyon and Gryffin, however, it is based more on the Cafe Racer or the vintage GP style motorcycle with a more of an aggressive riding position, kind of tucked in. It's available with drop bars, cafe style bars, a bump stop seat, and is more of a nimble motorcycle designed for cornering and more of a nimble ride. We're going to be going over each one of these models in more detail in this video. However, if there's one model that you're more interested in, please check that a video description below and there will be a link that will take you straight to that specific model. So when we set out to design the Janus 250 model line, our goal was to create a lightweight, minimalist motorcycle that had the right amount of power for what we enjoy doing when we ride a motorcycle, a balanced power to weight ratio. So along with that minimalist design, we really value ease of maintenance and ease of repair. So the motorcycle, all our models, they're just, what you see is everything. Nothing is covered up with plastic. The engine is fully accessible. The carburetor is fully accessible. The battery, everything is visible and maintainable with a minimal amount of fuss or tools. The vast majority of all our motorcycles, that's frame, fuel tank, fenders, handlebars, front suspension, is all made locally here in northern Indiana. We partner with a variety of local craftsmen all around Elkhart County here and Marshall counties next door, and a lot of what we do is ferrying parts from one local craftsman to the next. So let's say from laser cutting to welding to plating or powder coating, and then they come back to our shop and we do the final assembly. Items that we do make, as I mentioned, are the fuel tanks, fenders, the main frame, handlebars, our own front suspension, our own exhaust system, all the leather work you see on the bike. Items we do not make here locally include the engine, the wheels, electronic controls and DOT lighting, and the shock absorbers. These are all items that we do not manufacture because in most cases these are specialty components that we like to let the experts make those. This engine is made by one of the largest engine manufacturers in the world with many decades of experience, and we like to leave the shock absorbers to a suspension expert along with the DOT lighting. So I'll start by talking about our main frame on the 250 line. The main frame, which you see here, is a mild steel frame, hand bent and welded in our partner fabrication shop. This frame is based on the Norton featherbed frame, which was a famous frame developed in the very late 40s and raced for almost 20 years competitively in England and around Europe. It was the first frame that used in production the rear suspension that we now think is ubiquitous, the swing arm type rear suspension with paired shocks. That was what really made its name. It also was the first frame that was really torsionally rigid. So frames previous to that really were essentially bicycle frames adapted with an engine. So this frame was the first frame that really took into account that the front and rear wheel needed to stay in alignment at all times. We also like this frame because it has so many years of of use and experience. It's a tried and true frame with a classic good looks, and it's something that works really well for our manufacturing process. So one of the things that you may notice right away on our motorcycles is our front suspension. That's also something we build in-house. Same shop that makes our frame makes the front suspension. And by that I mean the actual front fork. The suspension is from Icon Suspension in Australia. It's a traditional coilover shock. But the suspension unit that we make is called a leading link suspension. It's a design that is it's no longer used really in production except on maybe some sidecar motorcycles. However, we were really interested in making the front suspension ourselves in-house. And telescopic suspension is extremely complex and has some design flaws that we really felt like we could do better here in our shop. So the leading link suspension, it gains its appeal because it is torsionally and laterally extremely rigid. It's far more rigid than a similar weight telescopic fork. And it also features a unique anti-dive quality. So when you apply that front brake with a leading link suspension, that brake caliper will actually grip the brake and essentially keep the bike from diving. That's one of the greatest weaknesses of telescopic forks is when you slam on the front brake, the whole motorcycle dives forward, and changing all the rake and trail and wheelbase, all the characteristics of your motorcycle are changed when you put on the front brake. So this is one of the reasons we like the leading link. The other reason is that it's a simple, extremely simple design that we can make with two benders and machine parts. And so that's the short story on the leading link fork. And it's a design that we're really proud of and that's worked out really well in the years we've been producing these motorcycles. One of the things that we've learned from our background in restoration and repair work on motorcycles and vintage bikes is the materials and plating and aspects that do wear down over time. And so when we set out to select a wheel for our motorcycles, we really were interested in getting something that was not chrome plated and that would be able to last a long time. We selected a modern, really a state-of-the-art wheel. This is a wheel that's designed for modern dirt bikes. It's an aluminum rim, so right away it's a much lighter weight rim than a steel-plated rim, and it's anodized, black anodized. Anodizing is an extremely hard surface that protects the aluminum, and it also looked really good. We like the black wheels. It's we thought that really matched the aesthetics of the bike. The hub is a machined and a billet aluminum hub with straight pull spokes. So there aren't the hooked spokes, they actually just go straight through. So it's a really strong design. And then speaking of the spokes are stainless steel. If you've ever done a restoration or tried to clean up an old bike with plated spokes, they can really be very labor intensive. And so stainless spokes, it just really makes this bike last. It's going to make the bike last so much longer than a comparable steel wheel. So along with the materials that we chose to use in our wheels, those design decisions extend throughout the rest of the motorcycle. Our fuel tanks, for example, are aluminum. So aluminum is first of all, it's extremely lightweight. And second of all, when we were early on in the design process, we were having issues with the welding of the tank and the heat. There's a lot of welding that goes into these fuel tanks, hours of welding, and that heat can warp the material. And so the decision to move to aluminum really helped with that because aluminum dissipates heat very quickly and it didn't warp as much. Another benefit of aluminum is that it oxidizes much more slowly than steel and in a different manner. So if you've ever worked on an old bike, you'll know that the first thing you should look at if you're looking at a vintage motorcycle is the tank rusty? Does it have pinholes in it? They often do. Aluminum really gets rid of that whole worry there. It's a very, very, very durable material. Also, it's nice because it's a shiny interior. It always stays shiny, so if you're looking at the amount of gas you have, you can really see the fuel level in the tank. Another material that we use throughout the motorcycles, especially in critical areas, is stainless steel. You'll notice that the motorcycle is completely painted. This is paint it in, we use it as a powder coat. It's an industrial, very durable finish. But there are some areas of the motorcycle where that powder coat, we know it's going to be worn down. So the side stand, the foot of the side stand, the rear brake lever, where your boot comes in contact with the brake lever, that is stainless steel. All those areas are stainless steel, so we know the powder coat's going to get worn down there, but it's not going to rust. It's stainless steel there. Stainless steel is also used almost anywhere on a part of the motorcycle where you would expect it to be chrome or nickel plating on another motorcycle. We just don't really. Plating in general is just it's a very labor-intensive and poisonous process, and so we've basically used stainless steel in almost all those applications. So our axles, all the critical and custom hardware on our motorcycles, the front swing arm pivots, the rear swing arm pivots, the axles, the tensioner nuts and steering stem, all those components are made out of stainless steel. So they're not going to rust, and they're not going to, the plating is not going to come off of them. It's a very durable material. So our background is in vintage motorcycles, restoring and repairing old bikes, and our first 50cc versions of the Halcyon were very much like those vintage bikes, used drum brakes. And we decided when we came out with the 250 that we wanted to use a disc brake setup. And the disc brake uses these rotors here on the front. It's a big disc, and that's made out of stainless steel. And that disc is made for us by the wheel manufacturer. It's machined to a very exact tolerance. And then we use a very ubiquitous front and rear brake caliper. So it's a 2-piston caliper in the front and a single piston caliper in the back. And it's really matched to the weight and the performance of our motorcycles. These things will stop you as fast as and faster than the tires can. So it's a very responsive brake setup, and we really are pleased with the balance of the bike and the brakes. So next up is our engine, the heartbeat of the motorcycle. Our engine is a 229cc single-cylinder 4-stroke engine. It's manufactured by a Chinese company that makes hundreds of thousands of engines a year. They have a lot of experience making these engines, and this is possibly one of the most produced engines in the world. It's a workhorse engine and has a really neat history. That history started in the early 70s when Honda had some of the most technologically developed engines in the world. They were very high performance. However, they weren't as forgiving as some of the engines that their competitors were producing. And those engines didn't require as much maintenance or the exact oil, the amount of oil or the kind of oil. So Honda sent a couple of their lead designers and engineers to developing markets like Pakistan, the Philippines, Indonesia, Brazil, and just to kind of like watch what was happening to these motors. And they were just appalled by what they saw. Engines, not only were they not being maintained, but they just weren't even being paid attention to until, maintenance meant rebuilding the whole bike when it stopped running and completely. So after witnessing what was happening with these motorcycles, they're being used every day. It's not a leisure activity in most of the rest of the world. After realizing that, they flew back to Tokyo and set out to design an engine that could handle that kind of abuse. And the engine that they came out with is the CG line of engines, which is what this is. It's a single cam. There's a single cam down in the oil bath at the bottom of the engine where it can always have oil and lubrication. Single cam operating both intake and exhaust valves. It's kind of a unique design, but it's about as simple as you can possibly make a 4-stroke engine. Short, robust push rods operate a single intake and a single exhaust valve. So it's a very, very, very basic engine, and it's almost impossible to damage it because it's designed to be a workhorse, to be bulletproof. And that's why we chose it. One of the reasons we chose it, we wanted a really reliable engine, but we also wanted to make sure that it was an engine that could be serviced very easily, and in many cases by the owner. This is an engine that we selected because your average motorcycle owner can still work on this engine. There's nothing complicated. There's a single carburetor. There's no balancing of carburetors necessary. There's a single cylinder. Adjusting the valves takes about 15 minutes on this engine. Nothing comes off except the valve cover. You just pull the valve cover off, 3 bolts, and you can adjust the valves. Everything, oil changes takes 20 minutes. It's just very, very, very simple and very robust. It's also air cooled, which is another way to make an engine simple. There's no water pump, radiator, or hoses. And that also matches our aesthetic. You know, the cooling fins of an air-cooled engine are really something we like aesthetically. And then the carburetor is, it's kind of unique today to have a bike with a carburetor, especially one that meets emissions certification in the United States, including California, which our bike does. So it's but as simple as they come, and we're really proud of it. We really have no engine issues because we've selected an engine that is bulletproof. From the owner's perspective, what that means is it's easy to work on, as we've said. It's also easy to operate. It has a manual choke on the carburetor. When you warm it up, it takes a little bit to warm up the bike, just like an old motorcycle that you may have been familiar with. And it does still have a kickstart, but unlike that old motorcycle, it has an electric start as well. So you can either kick or electrically start the engine. In terms of maintenance, there's about a yearly maintenance routine that we go through. It's either 2,000 miles or once a year valve and oil change. All of our models use the same lead acid battery. The battery is located right here under this leather cover. It's a very small battery, but it's really paired to our motorcycle and engine size. After going through different types of batteries in the course of our production history, we really realized that a traditional, simple lead acid battery is the right way to go. Most people are familiar with those, and they probably have a charger that will work with that. And this battery is it's just a real simple, lightweight battery that we do recommend that you keep it on a tender when you're not riding the motorcycle or if you're storing it for the winter, but it's a reliable unit. All 3 of our models are certified for sale in all 50 states. However, if you live in the state of California, you will need to get our California kit, which meets the California Air Resource Board requirements of evaporative emissions. That kit, what you'll notice on the bike is it has an evaporative canister, which we've managed to really integrate with the bike very well. But that will trap the evaporative emissions from your fuel tank and your transmission case and keep that from getting into the atmosphere. All 3 of our models are available in a variety of primary color and accent color options. The primary color will be, in this case, all the parts that are blue on this Halcyon. So that would be your fenders, your headlight bucket, your fuel tank, and your airbox. And that'll be the same on all 3 of our models. We call that your primary color. We have 8 options for that, starting with Aga Cream, British Racing Green, Vintage Red. We also offer Olive Drab, Cardinal Red, Black, Charcoal, and American Blue. Once you've selected your primary color, then you can move on to selecting your pinstripe or accent color. On this bike, that is gold. That will be, you'll see that on your fuel tank, your fenders, the airbox, and your Janus logo in some instances. The stock pinstripe options that we offer are gold, cream, white, copper, silver, black, navy blue, dark green, maroon, and red. As you select your accent or pinstripe color, we also offer the double pinstripe. So that means that you can not only just get the double pinstripe with one color, you could also mix in a second color. And that could be any one of the colors we offer. And that would be seen on your fuel tank and your fenders. If you select a basic fuel tank, we typically do the Janus logo in the same color as the pinstripe. However, as on this bike, if you get the deluxe tank, we usually do the logo in black because of the increased contrast with the polished reveal. Here at Janus, we make every bike by hand, and we are a small company, so we want to make sure that you feel comfortable and supported with your motorcycle. We offer a full 2-year fender-to-fender unlimited mileage warranty, meaning that we really it's in our best interest, and we really want to make sure that you are having fun riding your bike as much as you want. Because we are a factory direct manufacturer, we often get questions about how to get your motorcycle serviced and maintained. Here at our shop, we have a full-time customer service representative and service tech available to answer any of your questions. We stock all parts for the motorcycle available to ship out immediately for work wherever your service is being performed. And we typically can partner with any shop in your area. We're happy to get a hold of a shop that can do work on your motorcycle. Because our motorcycle is so simple, and because it's modeled after an early Honda, most vintage shops have no trouble working on this engine or motorcycle. In addition to having your motorcycle serviced by a repair shop in your area, we also highly encourage our owners to perform their own service and maintenance. Our handbook that you'll get with your motorcycle has a service and maintenance schedule and that's all spelled out. We have exactly what needs to be done at what point, and all the basics of performing that service is in that book. And in addition to that, we have a very comprehensive YouTube channel that can walk you through just about any of the regular maintenance tasks for your Janus motorcycle. One of the benefits of owning and maintaining such a simple motorcycle is that you can perform that maintenance yourself. Janus Motorcycles and our warranty support the owner performing their own maintenance if they feel comfortable doing that. On the other hand, if you're not comfortable with that, we're happy to work with a local repair shop to perform your maintenance. All three of our models use a stainless steel exhaust that we manufacture. The stainless exhaust on the Halcyon, as you can see, comes down under the down from the engine and under the bike, and that's the same as also on the Phoenix. However, on the Gryffin, which is our dual sport motorcycle, it's a high pipe, meaning that it comes up the side of the motorcycle and is clear of any debris or rocks that you may encounter. It's also just a classic look to have the exhaust swept up the side of the motorcycle. As we said earlier, these are stainless steel exhausts, so it also means that they get a really cool coloring. You'll notice, I think on almost all these bikes, we have a beautiful purple through, all the way down through gold to straw color on all our exhausts, and that's something that we really love watching that take place as the bike breaks in. At the front of your motorcycle, the key switch is located right up next to the speedometer on the top plate. It's a very simple key switch, one click clockwise to turn the bike on, one click off. In addition to that functionality, it has, if you push the key in and turn counterclockwise with the handlebars all the way to the left, you initiate a steering column lock. And so a little pin comes out and will lock your forks in the left position, which is nice if you're going to leave the bike. It provides just that one more level of protection on the bike so somebody doesn't roll it away. If you click another position over when it's locked, it will actually illuminate your brake light. So let's say you do need to leave your bike maybe in a high traffic area or on the side of the road, you can make sure it's more visible that way while taking the key with you. Our speedometer is a really wonderful high quality unit that's made specifically for us and has a neutral indicator, turn indicator, and high beam indicator built into it. In addition to those indicators, it also has a digital panel with a odometer readout, 2 trip meters, battery voltage, and temperature readout. So it's a really nice unit that kind of accomplishes a lot in a very simple, small speedometer face. So as I mentioned, the Halcyon 250 was the first model that we introduced, and it remains one of my favorite of our models. The Halcyon is more of a cruiser type motorcycle, or a standard motorcycle, meaning that it is a very upright seating position, wide swept back handlebars, solo seat, and kind of mid-range standard motorcycle position pegs. So not forward controls or rear sets, just very ergonomically comfortable for your average rider. It also, as you can obviously see from the motorcycle, really looks back to the golden age of motoring, when the vehicles all kind of had this beautiful pairing of form and function. So almost the function comes before the form, but there's a beauty in that. As you can see, the long, low fuel tank, the graceful curves of the fenders, and the pinstriping, the leather seat and saddlebags. This really does, for many people, kind of recalls the glory days of Indian and Harley Davidson, and even European marques such as Brough Superior or Zenith. These just kind of fast-looking motorcycles. So that's really what we were shooting for with this motorcycle, is just an homage to that and an example for modern use. In terms of the ride experience of the Halcyon, this is a bike that is just all-around kind of comfortable cruising motorcycle. So a great Sunday afternoon bike, or if you feel so inclined, riding it across the country, as I did. Like those old vintage motorcycles, the Halcyon is a hardtail. That will scare some people off. However, I can assure you, and many of our owners can assure you, that the Halcyon may be one of our most comfortable bikes. It's certainly the one that I chose to ride when I go on a long ride. The sprung seat takes up much of the shock, and it's just a lightweight bike. So, you know, when people think of a hardtail, maybe they've experienced a hardtail Harley Davidson or a hardtail Triumph. Those are heavy bikes, and when you hit a bump, all that weight is transferred to you. This is more, I always say, our motorcycles maybe have more similarities to a bicycle than to a Harley Davidson. So it really is it's a comfortable ride, and it's appropriate for this lightweight motorcycle. This bike is angled back more from our other models, so it has a larger degree of rake, meaning the front suspension is angled back more. That provides better stability. So this is more of a kind of a straight line, just a cruising motorcycle. It's not as nimble, perhaps, as some of our other models, but it's just a comfortable bike that is at home, kind of country rides or city excursions, and it looks the part. It's a real attention grabber. All right, so now I'm going to talk about some of the upgrades that are available for the Halcyon model. The first and probably the most noticeable upgrade on the Halcyon is the fuel tank variations that are available. You can either go with a basic tank or a deluxe. What we see right here, this is the deluxe fuel tank. That's immediately recognizable because that means that this is polished here. It looks like maybe chrome. What that actually is that is the aluminum of the fuel tank. So we create a mask for this area when it's painted, and then we peel that off, revealing this polished aluminum, and the logo is painted over that. So that's a really unique and distinctive feature of our motorcycles, really probably unique in the world for that polished aluminum reveal. It's a beautiful upgrade. However, some people prefer maybe a little lower maintenance to have this all one color. So that's what we call our basic tank. And the basic tank is the same color as the rest of the tank, and the pinstripe is just painted on top of that. At the back of the bike, there are a couple of options. We have the stock or basic option is the fender is visible. There's no pillion or book rack here, and no saddlebag. So it's just a tube here, very minimalist, and it really kind of shows off the lines of the bike. On top of that, then you can start adding other options. So the options for the back of the bike are saddlebags. Our saddlebags are full grain leather. They're manufactured by, they're handmade by an Amish saddle and harness maker about 20 minutes from here. And he makes not only the saddlebags, but the seat and battery cap on the Halcyon. Actually, the battery cap on all three of our models is made by him. So saddlebags, and then the next upgrade is a book rack. The book rack just sits behind the seat and is a kind of a multi-purpose platform where you can put a bag or a box or whatever you need on the bike. It's a kind of a multi-purpose upgrade. It also you can add a pillion seat to that. We call it our block pillion seat. It's just a piece of foam with a beautiful leather cover, and it's attached with a single nut at the back, a wing nut. So it's easy to install and take off. That one would be more for kind of short excursions because it doesn't have any suspension and you're on a zero suspension bike. So it can be kind of a bumpy ride if you're planning to take a longer ride. But it's great for a short excursion. If you do plan on riding the bike more with a passenger, there's the sprung pillion, which we have right here. And this has 2 coil springs, so it's much more comfortable. Both the block pillion seat and the sprung pillion seat that upgrade will come with folding passenger pegs. The passenger pegs are down here and fold out so that the passenger can have a place to put their feet. And both, as I say, that comes with the pillion seat. Another option available for the Halcyon book rack is our Wicker picnic basket. That fastens to the book rack with one attachment point, just like our pillion seat. Our picnic basket is made just about 10 minutes east of Goshen by another Amish craftsman. The Halcyon stock comes with these tires you see on this bike here. These are very multi-purpose tires. I've just been really impressed with both their performance in terms of the ride feel and cornering ability and braking ability, but also their durability. They last a long time. These are high mileage tires, and they have a really classic kind of a pattern, especially the back tire. The front tire has that ribbed look of a vintage bike. However, it pairs that vintage look of the ribbed front tire with modern compound and tread pattern on the sides. As soon as you maybe lean the bike over a little bit more, you take advantage of that. The Knobby tire kit is the upgrade you can make to this bike, and that comes with a new front fender that has an increased clearance for the Knobby tire upgrade. And the Knobby tires are the same tires we put on the Gryffin that are available on the Halcyon. And we call that sort of the last mile package. If you maybe live on a gravel road or you like to drive fire trails or something like that, this is a great option for you. This definitely doesn't make this bike a dirt bike or a single tracker. It has no rear suspension. However, it's great on a gravel road or if you plan on kind of exploring a little bit more off the beaten track. There are 3 leather colors available for the Halcyon: desert brown, redwood, and black. The desert brown is a kind of classic brown leather look. It looks great on the Halcyon, especially with some of our color options. And it's a great way to kind of make the bike more unique. Redwood is sort of a burgundy or vintage red color that pairs well with many of our primary color options. And then black, which is really a classic look, especially on the Halcyon. The Halcyon exhaust is available in 2 different configurations. Both of them are underslung on the frame and sweep out to the side. The brushed option is the basic configuration, and it's just a kind of a matte finish on the exhaust. The polished option is our upgrade, and that is where we hand polish that exhaust to a mirror finish. One of our most recent upgrades for the Halcyon model is the fishtail exhaust. The fishtail exhaust tip bolts onto your stock exhaust. Looks back to the earliest kind of versions of exhaust sound attenuation. So it was originally developed for racetracks in Europe where they were in more residential areas to kind of quiet the bike down, but it has a really unique look where it basically flares the exhaust tip at the back and looks fantastic on the Halcyon model. We offer that in the polished and brushed finish, and that's an option you can get from us here at the factory, or you can add yourself later. All of our motorcycles come stock with hand pinstriping, which is done here in our shop by Kelly. She lays it all out by hand. We also offer some upgrades to that. The first of which would be the double pinstripe. So you can get your standard pinstripe, and then another pinstripe on top of that. That's done in a slightly thinner line. And you can do that in the same color as your first pinstripe color, but many of our customers choose to do alternating colors. So you can really add a lot of complexity to your motorcycle very easily by pairing different colors in the pinstripe. We also offer wheel pinstriping, and that can be done again in the same color as your primary or pinstripe, or a different color. And that is just on the inside of the rim. There's a single stripe of pinstripe there. Other paint options we can do are tank highlights. So that means that, as you see here on this bike, there's just a little highlight on the Janus logo, and we can do that in a variety of colors. In addition to ordering your tank logo in a matching color to pinstripe, you can order that in gold. One of the upgrades that we encourage all of our customers to get is the hand-painted number plate. That's up here at the front of the motorcycle. We refer to that colloquially here as the pedestrian slicer, but that is originally used for registration on older bikes, but it's a fantastic place we found to kind of add a little bit to the history of your motorcycle in particular, and Janus in general. The number plate option is hand-painted again here, but that number, JM, and there's 3 places, denotes the sequential build of your Halcyon, or your model of motorcycle. So that number will be different for each of our 3 models. In this example here, this would be Halcyon number 132. That's the 132nd Halcyon 250 ever made. And so that's a fantastic little piece of history on your bike, what number it was made. The fuel cap is a machined 6061 aluminum, and the stock option is it's just blank. However, we have the standard Janus wreath logo. It says Janus Motorcycles around it. It is engraved in the cap, and then there's an enamel paint inset in there, so it has a really strong contrast of black logo. We also offer a custom logo there, so you can have your own logo on the fuel cap. Another of our more simple upgrades is the second mirror. All our bikes come with a left-hand mirror standard. However, you can add the right-hand mirror for just extra visibility and security. Another great upgrade is our headlight visor. This is a simple chrome piece here that kind of like a brow to the headlight, and it really adds to the aesthetics of the Halcyon. Another upgrade that we highly recommend everyone take advantage of is the LED upgrade. That has 2 configurations. You can either just get the headlight alone as an LED upgrade. That's a fantastic option because it really is a lot brighter. What that means is you can see a lot better at night, but maybe more importantly, it's very, very bright, and you can be seen much more easily, perhaps by a car, getting ready to turn out. They'll be much more likely to see you. As I said, you can either get just the headlight with that, or you can get the headlight and all the turn indicators and brake lights in an LED configuration, which again is just that much more bright than the standard incandescent lights. Again, in the last year, we've introduced another upgrade which is the highway bar package, also known as roll bars or crash bars. What that allows, what those are, is it's a steel hoop around the front of the bike that protects the engine in case that you drop the bike or it falls over, and it just kind of adds a little extra protection in the event of a tip over. An upgrade that you can add to the highway bars, and which is very unique to our motorcycles, is the leg shield upgrade. The leg shields are aluminum panels that have a nice curve to them, and they attach to the front of the highway bar upgrade. Those are typically going to be done in the primary color of your motorcycle with your pinstriping color applied as a border around the edge. Those feature a hand-rolled bead, aluminum bead around the outside edge that adds to the rigidity of those panels, but also really a beautiful piece of metalwork. Those are nice when maybe you're more inclement weather. They shield your legs. Really, one of the places that you're going to be in bad weather, you get the most soaked is your lower legs on a motorcycle. The front wheel throws up a lot of water, and the goal with these is to kind of mitigate that. Leg shields are a neat innovation because they kind of combine the convenience and practicality of a scooter, but the full functionality of a full motorcycle. And they stand in place for many of the larger bikes today, basically have that whole functionality in a larger fairing. But they really make the bike more practical for all-season riding. Another recent upgrade available for the Halcyon are our highway bar bags. These are, again, they're available in matching leather to your seat and saddlebags. And they're available either as a paired set, right and left, or as a single bag for one or the other side. They attach to the highway bar, and they can be installed either just on the highway bar or with the leg shields as well. The Halcyon tool bag is a roll-top leather bag which is available in matching leather to your seat and saddle bag. And it affixes to the right-hand side of the Halcyon, right behind your foot. One thing to keep in mind with the tool bag is that it precludes the use of a passenger peg on that side of the bike. The Gryffin 250 is our most recent addition to our model lineup. The Gryffin is a kind of more of a dual sport or scrambler style motorcycle, meaning that it is designed for use on road or off-road. So this is certainly, while it's certainly not a dirt bike, it is more than capable on gravel roads, single tracks, and it's more of just kind of an all-around good at everything bike. The most recognizable parts of this bike that differentiate it from the other models are the high exhaust pipe that keeps the exhaust up out of any debris or rocks, and the knobby tires. The knobby tires obviously are just better off-road and more of an aggressive look as well. In addition to that, the Gryffin has a much shorter fuel tank compared to the Halcyon, for example, meaning that you're able to sit further forward and more of an aggressive stance, more of an upright seating position with these very wide handlebars. The overall aesthetic of the Gryffin is definitely looking back to the beginnings of the dirt bike, probably in the 1950s or 60s. A scrambler motorcycle, it was the first dirt bike, and what that meant for BSA or Triumph or Harley Davidson even was a stock road-going motorcycle with knobbier tires, wide bars, and a high exhaust pipe. And people would ride across the desert on those or go off-road or trials riding that way. So it was the first step toward a more dedicated dirt bike, and that's what we're really trying to do. We're not trying to make a high-performance dirt bike. We're just trying to make a bike that can do more than just ride on the road. In our mind, the perfect scrambler is a bike like this, a small displacement, very lightweight bike that can be flicked with the twist of your wrist, easy to pick up and easy to ride over logs and just have a really fun time on. So rather than maybe a 650cc scrambler like people are maybe manufacturing today, we feel like this is really channeling the original scramblers of the 1950s and 60s. Right away, one of the differences you'll notice from the Halcyon is that this bike does have rear suspension. So this is a modern full suspension motorcycle, and that really is appropriate on a bike like this that's designed for off-road use. At the front, you'll notice that instead of the fork-mounted fender down over the wheel, this is a high-mounted, top-mounted fender, so that really provides more clearance and protection for the bike. So like the Halcyon, the Gryffin is available with a basic or a deluxe tank. Pictured here is the basic tank, and the deluxe is the same tank with this area here polished, a reveal of the polished aluminum beneath. And that would be available with any pinstripe option you want on this bike. You could also have this with double pinstripe or the tank highlights that we talked about with the Halcyon. Other upgrades available for this motorcycle are the hand-painted number plate. On the Halcyon and our other model, the Phoenix, that's located on the fender. On the Gryffin, with the shorter front fender, we have moved that up into the position where maybe on a vintage trials or scrambler motorcycle you would have found the number plate. So that's up above the headlight, and you can have the sequential number of your Gryffin on that plate. Like the Halcyon, the Gryffin is available with two exhaust finish options. The stock option is a brushed finish, which is actually on this motorcycle here. It's more of a matte finish, as I said, and the polished upgrade is that same exhaust, stainless steel exhaust, polished to a near mirror finish. The Gryffin fuel cap is also available with engraving. The stock option is the Janus logo wreath with the Janus motorcycles are on the outside edge, or you can get this with a custom logo of your own choice. That's engraved into the 6061 aluminum cap, and then it's painted within a black enamel fill in the recessed area, so it provides a really nice contrast and visibility. Another Gryffin specific upgrade is the brush guard, which is down here on the bottom. It serves as a protection for your engine and frame rails. If rocks fly up or if you go over an obstacle, this is there. It's to protect the bike. In terms of cargo carrying capacity, the Gryffin is available with a rear rack. This rack serves as a kind of a multi-purpose platform. It has tie-down attachment points around the periphery, and is a great option if you do plan on the ability to carry anything with you. Another version of the rear rack is the Adventure rack, and that is the same rack as this, with a loop coming down on this side, and that is available with a roll-top wax canvas bag with a little bit more capacity. Another upgrade option for the Gryffin, if you do plan on maybe riding it more off-road, are the hand guards, colloquially known as the corn detasselers. Those are aluminum bar stock that clamps to your handlebars and surround your brake and clutch lever, protecting those in the event the bike were to hit corn tassel or tree trunk or dirt. And along the front of that is an aluminum panel in the same color, your primary color of your motorcycle. They really add more of a modern protection for your motorcycle. Those are typically seen on modern dirt bikes, but it is something that really will protect your bike and get you home if you otherwise would have broken a clutch lever. Some other upgrade options that are available with the Gryffin model include the second mirror. The stock option does come with the left-hand mirror stock. However, you can add the right-hand mirror for a little extra visibility and security. Also available for the Gryffin is the headlight visor. The headlight visor is a small peak around the headlight. It adds a really classic look to the bike. Another upgrade that we encourage everyone to get on all of our models is the LED upgrade kit, and that comes in two configurations. You can either get an LED headlight only. The LED kit comes with an LED bulb that provides quite a bit more and brighter light. That's great for you as the rider because you have better visibility at night. But even during the day, that makes you more visible for oncoming or turning traffic. The headlight only kit comes with just the headlight, but you can also get the full LED kit, which means that all your bulbs, turn indicators, brake lights, and headlight are LED instead of the stock incandescent lights. The third of our 250 model line is the Phoenix 250. The Phoenix 250 is a motorcycle that is designed more for nimble handling and cornering. This is more of a performance-oriented bike in terms of just having fun. It's a canyon carver, it's a city blaster. This is a fantastic motorcycle that really gives you the most visceral feeling of speeding down the road. The low and close handlebars are typical of what more of like a modern sport bike or a cafe racer. The fuel tank takes a lot of inspiration from 1950s and 60s Grand Prix motorcycles, including Norton, Triumph, and many of the big four Japanese motorcycles. It has an aluminum fuel tank, much like many of those old bikes did, and knee slots. So like a Dunstall style fuel tank so that you can tuck into this motorcycle. In addition to the long, low fuel tank, it has a bump stop cafe seat. So this was a universally used on cafe racing motorcycles of the 1950s and 60s, as well as what they were mimicking the Grand Prix motorcycles of that time period. One of the main differences between the Phoenix and the Halcyon model is that with the addition of rear suspension and the overall geometry of the bike, we were able to set up this bike with a different angle. So it's higher in the back, lower in the front, has a more aggressive seating and riding position, but it also allows us to change the rake, the steering angle of the motorcycle. So it's about almost 3 degrees steeper, meaning that you get a bike that has much more quick and nimble steering response, and that all just kind of contributes to the rocket-like feel of this motorcycle, and it's more appropriate for, as we said, cornering and really riding more aggressively. The Phoenix also is available with 2 fuel tank configurations, the basic and deluxe. Seen here is the basic fuel tank, which means the entire tank is powder coated, your primary color, and then pinstriped. The deluxe upgrade from this is that we mask off this area of the fuel tank during the powder coating and painting process. What that ends up with is a polished reveal of the aluminum of the fuel tank. So it looks like a chrome or a silver finish there, but that's actually the aluminum of the fuel tank showing through. And then we pinstripe or paint the Janus logo on that. The stock pinstripe option for the Phoenix is a single pinstripe, but it is also available with double pinstripe, meaning that you would get a primary pinstripe line with a secondary and thinner line around the outside of that. You can do that in the primary or whatever your main accent color is, or you can do 2 different colors with adding to the complexity and uniqueness of your motorcycle. Another upgrade, like the Halcyon and Gryffin, is you can get tank highlights. Those would be little marks on the logo that add to the depth of the logo. The Phoenix is also available with wheel pinstripe. That would be a pinstripe line around the inside of your rim, and you can get that in the same color as the rest of your pinstriping or a different color. The stock setup with your Phoenix is the bike comes with a left mirror. However, a common upgrade that we encourage people to get is the right mirror, which will add to your overall visibility and security on the bike. The Phoenix 250 is also available with a number plate on the front fender. The number plate denotes the sequential number of your Phoenix, so that's model specific. So if you have the 54th Phoenix, that you can show that off right on the front of your bike. Another upgrade available for the Phoenix is the headlight visor. The headlight visor is a small brow on your headlight, which is a great kind of classic look, adds a classic look to your motorcycle. One of the upgrades we encourage all our customers to get, whatever model they choose, is the LED lighting upgrade. That's available with 2 different configurations. The bikes come standard with incandescent lights. However, you can upgrade your headlight or all your lights to an LED, much brighter headlight, which increases your visibility, your ability to see at night, but also your visibility to other vehicles on the road. Again, that's available with just the headlight, or you can get the full package, which would mean that your turn indicators, brake light, and headlight are all LED units. You can also add an engraved fuel cap to the Phoenix model. The stock Phoenix fuel cap is a 6061 aluminum cap. And you can add either our stock logo, the wreath logo with Janus Motorcycles around the edge, or you can add your own custom logo to your fuel cap. That's engraved into the fuel cap and then has an enamel paint in the recesses, making it more of a relief against the aluminum. The stock Phoenix exhaust is available with a brushed finish, more of a kind of a satin or a matte finish, and then we offer the deluxe exhaust in a near mirror polished finish. Both those are still stainless steel, just treated differently. The Phoenix model is available with 2 different seat configurations. You can either go with the stock option, which is a bump stop single seat, or add the, we call it the seat and a half, which allows for a passenger as well. And that passenger, the double seat and a half, when you order that, that comes with passenger pegs for the passenger as well. You can get your Phoenix with 2 different handlebar options. The stock option is a low-rise bar. It's a little bit more of an upright position than the sport bars, which are actually shown here. The sport bars provide more of a dropped kind of cafe feel and a little bit tighter to the bike. One upgrade that is unique to the Phoenix is the ability to lower the bike with shorter shock absorbers. This upgrade lowers the overall seat height by about 1 inch. To To order your Janus, it's a very easy process. You can either place a deposit on our website, give us a call, or stop by our shop. When you place your deposit, you can select all your Pinstripe, paint, and upgrade options at that time, or if you would like us to talk you through that, we're happy to help you out with that once you place your deposit. We're a quick email or a phone call away. Once you've finalized your details for what upgrades and colors you'd like, we will get started building your motorcycle. During that time, we will be updating you with photographs of your bike being built and preparing you, sending information to you about how to register your motorcycle, and we're happy to work with you on getting insurance, all the things you'll need when you go to your BMV or to register the bike for use on the road. While your motorcycle is being built, another thing that we will be in contact with you about is the delivery of your motorcycle. We can ship the motorcycle to you anywhere in the continental US. It's a door-to-door. You will get the motorcycle and it's no pre-assembly required at that point. You can start the engine and ride away. We also are happy to have you visit here and pick up your motorcycle. We love to give you a tour and walk you around the bike. Here at Janus, we're a very small company and we thrive on personal contact with our owners. So if you have any questions at all during the build time, once you receive the bike or at any point as an owner, please feel free to get a hold of us. Give us a call, send us an email, and we'd love to answer your questions. And one of the things that as a small company, we love to get to know our owners. Well, thank you very much for watching this introduction to our model lineup. We look forward to hearing from you and building you a motorcycle.